All right, so let's get into a little OVW time then.
Okay.
So you get to OVW. Did you know anything about it? Did you know anything about Rip? Rip your original trainer there?
Yes.
He was. So you were in. Okay, I couldn't remember exactly.
8 a.m., boys.
So what
8
was your
a.m.
first impressions of the hustler Rip Rogers? And did you know? Did anybody smarten you up at all? Did you know anything about him? How he was? Anything like
No,
that? So what did
nobody
you think when you
smartened me
met
up.
Rip? Then give me.
I thought he was a character. He was hilarious. And so, and I say this because I feel like I come from the businesses have changed so much, especially in the last 10 years, but I really did come from like an old school kind of mentality with wrestling. So nothing shocked me at this point. Like I had been in locker rooms where people were passed out drooling on themselves in the corner. So nothing shocked me ever. But Rip would pop me all the
But
time
but
because he's
Rip.
brutally honest. No, he's brutally honest. And I will say the one thing that I probably loved and respected the most is that he never treated me like a girl. He never mollycoddled me or or beat around the bush. Like if he had a point to say, he was going to say it, and he was going to say it how Rip was going to say it, and you either digested that or you didn't. And uh, yeah, it was definitely different. I had no idea what to expect when I got there. I thought like, oh, we're gonna have like there's practice every day, so probably 2-3 hours, and I'll train and do whatever, and then I got to work on how am I gonna make it to the next step. And one of my first day of practice, I remember these are 8 hour practices that we were doing sometimes, weren't they, Rip? Like we would be there, we would start at 8 a.m. and we would wrestle until about 3 p.m., but not always wrestling. And one of my favorite drills, Rip, that you would do is the body part drill, where we would all have to get around and he would have his whistle. And for 2 minutes, you would work an arm. And then for 1 minute straight, you would get heat on it. And then he would blow the whistle and then you'd reverse it. And then the baby face would do, but no bumps. And that was the
Right,
catch, no bumps. And I was
right.
like, I knew how to wrestle when I went down there, but everything that I learned, especially from you, Rip, was like this fine tuning of really perfecting my craft. And that's what I'm so grateful for OVW, because I think it truly made me a worker. Whereas a lot of people can wrestle, but there aren't a lot that working is an art.
Right.
Um,
That
but
has been a
yeah,
very popular answer. People say that all the time. That exact working the body part and then taking it up a notch and
kick
all that.
it
Kick
in.
it in. Yep. Rip, give us your impression. I know you've already told me some stuff. Now let's see if you're gonna actually share it on this show here or not.
Talking about how good Mickey was.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, she already knows that I.
What?
Well, she knows how I think her, Serena, Gail Kim, top three. No Pacific order. Uh,
yeah.
Speak up. Show some.
I
Classy
can
Chappie's
hear.
going to
I
be
can
on here.
hear him.
can
Okay.
you hear?
Thank you, Rip. I can. I
Okay,
appreciate that. That means a
but
lot to me.
you know, I don't even have to say you're a hot little bitch, do I?
Oh my
Oh
god.
hell yeah.
Uh,
but
I
I try to
say,
get him to
but
talk, and then that's what he comes back with.
my thing was I want to make these girl wrestlers. So I want to treat them
right,
like guys, and I want them to work like guys.
right,
So I want them in the ring with guys that are bigger, stronger, faster, so that when they get in there with girls, they can dominate. I
right.
want that mind to be fucking sharp of learning to call it in the goddamn ring,
Yeah,
which nobody knows how to do anymore.
they don't.
And
They
what can
really
I say?
don't.
I had guys go 2 hours in matches.
We did that 60, what was it? That Broadway match. Who was it? Mike Mondo and God, there was a couple of them, but I just remember, was it Jeter?
I had a lot of that.
You
Used to
had,
be the norm.
I was so
And
glad. I don't think you ever got me for one of those 60-minute Broadway matches, and I was super grateful. But I tell you what, my cardio, I was in the greatest shape of my life in OVW because my cardio, in ring cardio, was through the roof. Was
That was
through
the
the roof.
thing, though. He never made us do like squats or any of that kind of stuff. It was never
Or
just
bump
bullshit cardio.
drills.
It was
There
always
was no
wrestling
feed
cardio.
for a clothesline,
Yeah.
10 bumps in a row. There was none of that because it was waste that he's like, why? Those are wasted bumps.
Yep. It was
I
always
want
it
you to
was
be able to do it without taking a bump, because that's the art of a true worker, right? Like to be able to tell that story and then make that bump mean something rather than just by the time you got there, which I was very much on the same page because we had gone through several different trainers. And the one thing I hated after you left, Rip, was we had Bill DeMott would do a lot of bump drills of like one person in the middle and everybody feed in for a clothesline. And I'm like, I already know how to bump. That's why I got hired. Like, I don't need to know how to bump. I need to know how to work. There's a difference. Like, I already learned how to bump. I've been bumping for a while. Like, if you ain't figured out how to bump by the time you got here, you're doing something wrong. Right. Like, and I would get so frustrated because I'm like, I don't need to take all these bumps. Like, we're taking, 80 bumps in practice before we even lock up. Like, how does this make sense to me? Not that I love Bill. I'm just saying, like, I was like, I feel like I'm going backwards. Like, what is happening? Where's Rip? Where's Rip?
Yeah, I don't think I ever taught you a move.
No.
I was a babysitter.
Is that what you were?
I was a babysitter. But you know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
I was like a school teacher with a bunch of first graders.
Right.
But now you go out and practice with this girl. No, I want you to practice with a guy. Now work same size. So you can lead to learn. You can follow. You can lead. You can work like you're both 6 foot tall. You're both 280 pounds. Or
right.
in just different ways to work.
Right.
And I know you've only got so many bumps on your bump card. So I'm trying to save your life.
Right. And your career. Right.
Right. But if guys are assholes, they just have you bumped.
Right.
So I never, no way.
No, you know what? Another thing that you used to do, and I'm like, I feel like I avoided this like the plague because I saw you do it so many times. I don't know if he did this to you. We would do E-Town showdowns or wherever. What was the gym that had Dennis the Menace on painted on the gym?
St. Therese, or
is that St.
Was it St. Therese gym?
Oh,
maybe.
I don't remember. St. Therese was like that church that had I can't remember.
Well, they had Dennis the Menace painted up on the school thing, right?
Yeah.
Okay. But if they would have the matches, and obviously we drive there, and everybody, girls and guys, put the ring up. Girls and guys did all the things and had to clean up after. We were all a team, and we did it together. But if he saw you talking to your opponent one time, not even for 1 minute, he'd let the heel go out. You did this countless times, Rip, and I was like,
oh, I'd send somebody else out,
or
tell them to reverse roles.
Yes.
No, I'm going to make you good whether you like it or not.
Yeah, because
I'm going to throw you in the water, and you're going to learn to swim.
Because he did not want you calling a bunch of spots backstage, because these matches, like, that's for television, and these shows, and this was verbatim, these shows are to teach you how to work. There's 50 people out there. They don't care about your spots. They want you to make them feel something. Mm-hmm. So he would let the heel go out, and then right before the baby face's music is supposed to hit, he'd pull that baby face and he'd say, Cage, get your ass out there. And he'd tell whoever to hit Cage's music. And then they would have to wrestle on the fly.
Yep.
Same time, figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
Cage up. And that's all he'd say. You're up. And then he'd send them.